This was a homebrew system that was a mashup between D&D 3.x and Palladium, which is the cause for a lot of the weirdness, as you'll see soon enough. This was the only time I ever played anything Palladium adjacent, but I gather it's a D10 system that only exists to be contrary. I was not a fan. So this was a weird homebrew hack job the DM had created in order to give his girlfriend super special powers. Her character was so beautiful that we each had to roll to not fall in love with her instantaneously when we first laid eyes on her. I should have left then. But it did make it so that I could take flight as a 3rd level wizard. This will be key in a bit. So we were playing on the floor of the DM's dorm room. Only he and my ex, his girlfriend, were sitting on the bed. Sessions usually ran about 5 hours. I was by far the oldest person in the room, and my ex and I were on super good terms, and she actually asked me to be in the game so we could hang out. The other players were 3 of the DM's friends whom I had not met before. My ex and I were the only women in the group. The early sessions were actually kind of fun. My ex knew her character was dumb, but thought it was sweet that the DM was trying to flirt with her through D&D. I actually did have to save to avoid falling in love with her, and I rolled a crit fail. Rather than just falling in love with her, I decided to go all out with an "I am your loyal retainer to the day I die, my lady," and I would correct anyone who did not show proper respect. My ex and I thought it was hilarious, but as for the DM, I couldn't tell if he was mad or not. In hindsight, probably, because I was mocking his silly game world. In one dungeon, my treasure hunter ended up finding a cursed sentient evil sword of evilness. Like death cursed to all who touch it because of how evil it was. However, in the same dungeon, there's also a magic trap that inverts alignment. So I carefully lassoed the sword, pulled it into the trap, inverted the alignment of the sword, and now you have a lawful good weapon. My good character picked up the lawful good weapon and was instantly vaporized for touching a weapon of ultimate evil. No save. My next character was after the party leveled up, and that is when I decided to roll a changeling character, who I thought was very cool. I kept it under wraps from everyone but the DM. He told me that changelings were distrusted in the world, and I thought it would be a fun roleplay to hide who I was. This homebrew hack job also had mental illnesses, so shortly after rolling up the changeling, the DM says we could take flaws to increase stats. I took paranoid. We were told not to tell anyone else for better roleplaying. So I was a theater major and had a performance one game night, and my ex came to see the play. I come back in the next session and I'm told, "Hey, we had a lot of fun. We had your character do a bunch of fun stuff." What happened? Well, my changeling, who had always been paranoid about being revealed, didn't notice that someone had put something funny in her drink at the pub. And then she was basically forced to use her changeling powers by everyone in the building, as they all forcibly had their way with her. So remember that mental illness thing? Well, unbeknownst to me, the DM had convinced all the players to take mental illnesses for their character bonus as well. The mental illness in every case? Homicidal racism against changelings. So during this game session, all of the DM's friends reveal to each other that they're all basically members of the clan and want to get rid of all changelings. And of course, because the DM was forcing my character to do distasteful things and have her change gender multiple times to accommodate any and every single thing that he could think of, the whole party knew my character was a changeling. But being outed had the consequences of also making the entire party, by his own ruling, homicidally hateful of my character, despite adventuring with her for weeks/months. So we begin the next session with them all plotting my death, which was the only detail of the session that they didn't tell me about. I was actually told that practically my character didn't remember what happened at the pub, which I roleplayed in good faith, even though I was fuming inside. Later that night, they set fire to the building I was investigating for them, and tried to get rid of my character when she fled outside. So yeah, that happened. I actually managed to escape using flight. Told you it would be important. And then I rolled a new character, which, a secret I kept even from the DM, was just the same person with a different face. Vowing vengeance. As the only spellcaster in the group, I had superior range over anyone but our ranger, who was also the only one clever enough to buy a proper bow. The DM liked to throw boss creatures at the players to push everyone to the next level, so I just waited for the next one. 2 sessions later, I saw my chance. The other players had locked me out of a house they were staying in overnight because they didn't trust this newcomer after the last person turned out to be a filthy changeling. A leprechaun ended up appearing as a random encounter and proceeded to take me down to half health in 2 hits, while the entire party laughed at me from behind the door to this cottage. When they finally came out, the DM proceeded to raffle stomp basically everyone except his girlfriend, while I flew up into the air and prepped for the best moment to attack. Soon enough, the ranger went down. Another 2 characters were badly injured, and my ex was in melee with a creature that had an AC of like 30 against a group of level 3 and 4 characters. I took the shot, and then I emptied several lamps worth of oil onto them and began raining fire on the party while screaming about vengeance. The DM tried to rule that I wasn't allowed to cast spells while flying due to some magical interference or whatever, but the rest of the party realized just how angry I was and basically told him to stay out of it and let us play this thing out. I roasted all of them, high-fived the leprechaun, ripped my character sheet in half, and walked out the door. I'm sure they just pretended like it didn't happen and continued with the same characters without me, but man, did that feel good. This was 5 years ago, and I'm still fuming, as I am sure you can tell. So, some aftermath. A bit about my DM's girlfriend, who was my ex immediately before they started dating, and whom I had a very happy long-term relationship and an amicable breakup, which may be why he was so insecure. Her character was a half-angel with divine beauty, charisma 24. This was a 3.5 system, and that was level 1. This meant to be the reason why we had to save to not fall in love with her upon seeing her. She also had a split personality, which meant that she could change her class between 2 different ones at will. She was also granted bonus XP due to her angelic lineage, which meant that she started a level ahead of us. The DM flat out informed us that upon meeting her, we all had to make her the leader of the party. The entire storyline was something about a demon prince who she had a vendetta or something against, and also she couldn't be knocked unconscious and could continue to fight even in negative hit points. I'm not joking. Basically, I think the DM was afraid his girlfriend was gonna ditch him to date me again. She actually ended up dumping him not that long after the session. I want to thank Reddit user Jaded Flames for this story and providing extra background that I weaved into the original story. So yeah, I just don't get where these DMs come from. I mean, what the DM wanted definitely worked in getting someone angry, but for you to feel so insecure in yourself that using a fantasy game is your way of getting back at someone that you feel threatened by is pretty childish. I'm just kinda at a loss for words. What do you all think about this?